Stitchy friends! How is everybody doing? Today is Tuesday, July 8th, 2025. My name is Andrew, this is Winston, and you've stumbled upon The Runner Stitcher. This is my channel where I talk primarily about cross-stitch and a little bit about my running journey as well, and you are very welcome here. If you're a new subscriber, welcome. Thank you so much for checking me out, and I hope you enjoy what you see. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back and spending a little bit of time with me. I really appreciate that. Today I think is going to be a little bit of a shorter video, so we'll just jump right into it. I want to start with my running. So as you know, I am doing the challenge #whip into shape, where I've challenged everybody to stitch 10 stitches for each mile that I run during my marathon training, leading up to my marathon in Sydney, Australia at the end of August. So we have just completed week 8, I think, week 8 or week 9. And total, the miles that I've run is 292.2 miles, which equates to 2,922 stitches. And that time that I've ran was 43 hours, 29 minutes, and 3 seconds. 43 hours, that's a long time. Yeah, we're really ramping up in the training now. So this past weekend, I had a 17-mile run. I ran in a couple different places here in the city. I ran from Washington Heights to Randall's Island, out to Queens, and then back into Manhattan to Central Park, where I finished the 17 miles. And it actually was a really nice day. The humidity was much lower that day, which made a huge difference. So that was nice. And yeah, but it was still tough. And we're now still ramping up. So this weekend I've got an 18-mile run to do. I'm not sure which of the weekend days I'll do it, on Saturday or Sunday, because it's looking like rain maybe both days here in New York. So I've got to pick one that kind of works better. So I'll decide as I get closer to the weekend which day I'm going to do that on. But stay tuned. I've got the spreadsheet linked below if you want to join in, if you want to stitch along. And yeah, feel free to follow along and stitch what you can on your Whip into Shape project. It's been really cool seeing all the progress that everybody's making on their projects. It's really cool. Yeah, we're getting a lot of stitches in, and we still have about a month and a half to go, so we'll make some decent progress. The humidity is also ramping back up. So today I had an 8-mile run, and it was so humid. I looked like I jumped out of a swimming pool when I finished. I was wringing sweat out of my tank top, and it was just so hot. Those types of runs are never easy. And even though it was only just 8 miles, it was really, really tough for me. It was a really hard run. So the weather makes a huge difference, and these runs will continue getting tougher as we get more and more into the summer. So just stick with me, keep stitching, and I'll do my best to keep running, and hopefully the training will go well. But for me, the piece I chose for my #whip into shape is Fruits of Plenty. This is by Modern Folk Embroidery. Here's what this is going to look like. Mine is a little different since I'm doing it in greens. I will put a picture up here of where I was at the beginning of the challenge, so you can see the work I've completed for the whole time. And here is where I'm at now. So the section I worked in this time was down here. I worked on some more of these borders. I think I brought this side, all these borders down on this side. I don't think they had been done yet. I filled in a little bit of the lighter green here at the top and also down the side in that one section. And yeah, that was basically 450 stitches. So I'm really happy to say though that I have reached the 50% mark. So I am now at 50.75%, which is awesome. I can't believe it's taken me this long to get to 50%, but hey, I'll take it. I'm super happy. I think it's looking really great, and yeah, we'll keep pulling it out. So we'll see where we get to by the end of the challenge, but this is the main section that I worked in. I still have the other squirrel to put in, I think, right here. So I kind of have been saving that a little bit, although this time I really just enjoy doing these sort of geometric shapes. That was a lot of fun. So at least it wasn't the vines. I know, I'll love the vines when I get back to them, but so that's where I am so far on Fruits of Plenty. Okay, I think that's it for the Whip into Shape challenge for the week. Thank you so much for stitching along. I really appreciate it. I feel the support, and we're going to do this. We're going to get through it. You'll also notice I'm in a different location filming today. So we basically switched my office and our bedroom. We switched rooms. And so we did that over the weekend, which is a little bit why I have less stitching this time, because it's amazing how much, even when you just switch two rooms, how much stuff you have to move them. It takes a while. So it was moving everything into the different room and then kind of reorganizing it and putting in place. So I'm still trying to figure out where the best place for me to film will be in this new space, but this will do for today. So you might see, you'll definitely see me in different settings in the coming days, and I don't know, we'll see what I can put up in the backdrop to add some stitchy goodness, but I'm in a new place. Same apartment, just different room. Yeah, so let's jump into the stitching for the week. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 whips for you. Whips are works in progress, and these are pieces that I have put a little bit of love into this week. Since the last time I saw you, I was able to add 2,502 stitches, which is slightly lower for me. Partially because summer is here, partially because marathon training is ramping up and that takes more time. Partially because we moved and we switched rooms, that took some time. And then also it's summer. And so, you know, on Sunday it was a really, really nice day, and Andrew and I decided to go to the beach for the day, and I got no stitching in that day, which was fine because the beach was perfect. It was such a nice, relaxing day, especially after the long run on Saturday. And, you know, that's just how it is sometimes. So a little less stitching this week, but still plenty to share. So let's start with my temperature stitching. I have 3 projects that I've assigned digits between 0 and 9, and each day I look at the high temperature for the day, and the second digit of the high temperature is the project that I work on for 100 stitches. And I sort of look projected throughout the week so that I know the total of what I need to work on throughout the next week. The first one is Autumn is as Joyful. This is by Lila Studio. That is what this is going to look like. This beautiful Quaker piece. And I will pop in a video of here where I was when I started. All right, and this was only called for one day, so this got 108 stitches, putting me at 20.73% of the piece. And here is where I am now. So you'll notice there's not much of a difference because 108 stitches doesn't go that far, but I did add in this U. That is a clear new spot. I think I added in this little motif right here, and maybe I added in this little motif as well. I think I had the heart there before, but some of the smaller motifs I added in. I may have even added this one here on this side as well. So with just 100 stitches, it wasn't worth me starting a whole new Quaker, but I found some of these smaller pieces that I could fill in and get done. So yeah, that's 20% complete of the piece. I think the main squirrels and the main centerpiece start going in right here, which is really exciting. So I don't know where I'll go next time when I bring this out, but maybe I'll work in this section over here to continue filling that in. I think there's a few smaller motifs that go in right there. But yeah, I love it. This is stitched on a 40 count Winter's Brew by R&R Reproductions. I'm using the Vicky Clayton Silk Pack and stitching it 1/2. Next up for temperature stitching is the Witch Whip piece, which you all chose Halloween Quaker. This is also by Lila Studio. That is what this is going to look like. And this was called for 2 days. I believe I've got a video of where I was when I started, so I'll pop that in here. Here's my starting point for Halloween Quaker. I'm going to continue working on this motif right here. It's a very big one, so I'm not going to get it completed, but I will see how far I can get. All right, and I was able to get in 215 stitches. That puts me at 29.22% on this piece, very close to 30%. And what I worked on this time was this motif right here. So I think I had this started before, and I basically just brought down this side here a little further. So that is probably the biggest Quaker motif in the whole piece. So I'm happy to be making progress on it. I also added a little bit of these sort of block stitching here in the center that will continue throughout the Quaker piece. But that one is a lot of fun to stitch. So even though it's large, I really am enjoying it. And here is the full piece. So on this side, I am all the way to the edge, and over here, I think there's a small motif that goes in the corner right here, but then this is basically the other edge. So that will be the size of my Quaker. which is pretty cool. Actually, it'll probably come to about there. So it won't be huge on 40 count, which I love. And I will have some extra fabric on the side here that I can probably put something small on that side. But yeah, that was super exciting. Sorry, this is also stitched on a 40 count. This is Hollow Haunted by Seraphim Fabrics. I'm also using the Vicky Clayton Silk Pack, so this is stitched 1/2. And yeah, I think those are all the stats. All right, and the final piece for temperature stitching is this one here from Running with Needles and Scissors. This is called A French Rose, Marie Valet. It is absolutely beautiful. I'm stitching it a tone-on-tone version, so mine looks a little bit different, but I think I've got a video where I was when I started. I'll pop that in here. Here's my starting point for French Rose. I'm going to be continuing to work on this top border. I'm going to see how far I can bring it over. Hopefully I'll get it all the way to the edge, so then I know at least the width of the piece. And then I'll probably also try to bring up that single stitch, like final top border at the top there. And yeah, we'll see where I go from there. You'll see it now. And this was actually called for 4 days, so I actually managed 400 stitches on this piece. I don't have the percentage because I am using markup, but I don't think the stitch count is right, so I'm not even going to bother with the percentage. But here is where I am now. So what I was able to do this time was bring down this border on this side all the way to here, which is pretty good. I really got in the groove and in the flow of that border on the side, so that was a lot of fun. I'm not all the way down to the bottom. I think I've got a few more sections to go on that border, but you can see this is going to be a very small piece. So this is basically the outer border here. So it's not going to be a huge piece, but I think it's going to look really fun when it's done. I also sort of carried along this top row of single stitches, carried that a little further, and that's where I ended. So that's why I have my thread there. That's where I'll pick up next time. I'll take that single strand of stitches all the way over across the top. But I really like how this is looking. This is a 40 count by Lap and Loops called Curtain Call, and I am using silks from Almond M&Ms, and I'll show you the name of these here. It's called Velvet Rouge and Almond M&M silks. Absolutely beautiful. They really match the fabric, as you can see. It's almost a perfect match, which is great. And the tone-on-tone is something definitely new that I'm not used to, but really enjoy it. Sometimes in the camera it doesn't come across quite as clear as you can see it in person, but it's still very tone-on-tone, so it still blends in very nicely, but you can still really see the stitching. So that has been a lot of fun. All right, the next piece I worked on for the week was Eclipse. This is by Carolyn Manning Designs. Here is what this is going to look like. This I am stitching for the round robin I'm doing with Yoshi, who is the cross stitch guy here on Flosstube, Jason from Jason X Stitches, and Sheldon from Sheldon In Stitches. And we are each going to stitch a quarter of this. So my quarter is this top left one right here. And I don't have a video where I was when I started, but I will try to pop a picture up here of what it looked like last week. And again, I've got some parked threads, so forgive me for that, but here is what it looks like so far. So as you can see, I took the next diagonal, which was right about here, and brought that all the way down to the bottom. And then I picked up the very next one right here and started bringing that down. So this will form a square. So I've only got, this little section to go yet. I think once I finish this diagonal that I'm currently working on, I think there are 3 other diagonals, but they each get smaller as you go over. So definitely making progress. I am loving the colors. I'm really loving how this is looking on the 18 count Ada. I'm stitching it with 2 strands, all the called for DMC. Yeah, I think it's really fun. I think it's going to look so cool when I can get this framed and have it up on my wall. And even just this quadrant is looking great, but once you get the next quadrant beside it, it'll really pull everything together. And then once you get the bottom half, it's going to even look better. So This I got about 448 stitches in, and that puts me at 20.22%, and I should be at 25% when I pass this along, so I'm getting there. This is definitely a fun stitch though. I think I really enjoy stitching these geometric shapes, and this is a good project to practice diagonal stitching. I'd like to try that more for full coverage. I can't wait to get back to a couple of mine, and because I've really enjoyed the stitching in the diagonal. I think I found a rhythm now, especially for a piece like this where there's not quite as many colors, but it seems to be really working. I like the stair step idea, how I'm kind of blocking it off by two instead of just one over every line, because I don't want the lines to happen in the piece itself, which I was seeing with my pancakes piece. But I have not seen the lines here yet, so I'm hoping that will sort of solve that issue. But yeah, it's looking good. All right, next up we've got Saga from Long Dog Samplers. Here is what this is going to look like. And I'll be honest with you, this week Saga almost did not happen. I typically stitch Saga on either Wednesday or Thursday, and this week with being off work and just changing the room around, things got busy. And I didn't actually stitch on it until I think it was Saturday after my long run. That's when I finally pulled it out and got in all the stitching I needed to that day. But for a moment there, I thought you might not actually see Saga this week. And that would have been the first week, I think, since I started this project that you would not have seen it. But I will pop a video in here of where I was when I started. All right, I am doing some stitching outside today, so you might hear the birds chirping in the background, but here is my starting point for Saga, and I'm going to continue on this top section right here. I'll try to bring down this arch. We'll see how far I get. But yeah, that's my starting point. You'll see it now. And since the last time you saw it, I was able to add 550 stitches, which is exactly my goal for the week. And that puts me at an exciting number. I'm now 40.31%. So 40% of the way on this piece. Here is the whole thing, what it looks like so far. And the section I stitched on was right in through here. So I worked at bringing this arch down a little further here. I also stitched this little guy right here. I think he's a bird, maybe? I can't see what you're seeing. I think he's a little bird. We'll see as the story comes together in the arch, but I think that's what he is. I stitched a little bit up in here to kind of bring over this motif right here. So nothing super exciting, but definitely brought down the arch a little further. Next time I'll try to continue filling in more of this top section right here, and then I will try to bring the arch down a little further and see if I can get it to the bottom the next time. And then we'll be getting close to ready to start what's in the arch, which is exciting. So I absolutely love this piece. This is stitched on a 36 count vintage country mocha. I'm using the Silks For You PR207, one strand of silk over 2 linen threads. And it's just so enjoyable. I really, really love it. Okay, and the final piece I've got for you is a very special one. This is Black Roses by Owl Forest Embroidery. Here is what this piece is going to look like. I absolutely love this one. I know a lot of other people are stitching it as well, and it's such a fun piece. I'm still up here in the corner with the roses up there, and it just takes a while because this is a fully beaded project that I'm working on. So I think I've got a video of where I was when I started. I'll pop that in here. All right, here's my starting point on Black Roses, and actually I already added this leaf right here and this stem up here. So I forgot to film this before I completely started, but I've got that stem and that leaf completed. So I'm working a little bit on the rose. You can see a little bit here. These colors are slightly different. They'll look a little bit like this one. And yeah, so I'm gonna add the rose here and then also a rose up here, and we'll see how far I can get. And I basically worked on this 2 days straight over my time off, and still didn't get that many beads in, but I'm happy with the progress so far. So I was able to add in 331 beads. That puts me at 4.06% on this piece. And my WhipGo goal for the month is 1,000 beads, which means I've still got 669 beads to go. We'll see how far I get, but here is where I am now. So I'll pull this a little closer so you can see. I basically added a lot of this section through here. I think I completed this rose, this vine here. I brought down some of these vines and added in this colorful rose here. And again, I'm using 2 different color beads. So I'm using black for the vines, and then the roses themselves are sort of a purpley sparkle metallic, which in person look really cool. I'm not sure how well it's coming across in the camera with the lighting and everything, but in person it looks really cool to have those beads kind of just shimmer a different color as well. And from a distance it kind of looks like it's all black. So that's pretty cool as well. And I hope you can see the shimmer of the beads here, but I'm really happy with this. I had a really good time stitching this, and it was a lot easier. So I changed my setup a little bit, and I have a new stand that I'm using, which made stitching on the scroll frame so much easier. So I love that. And then I also bought a magnifying light. And this is only, I think this is a 32 count Lugana. I'm using all the Delica beads. And I don't usually need a magnifier to see 32 count. But I found with the beads, it just makes it that much easier to sort of see where your needle is coming up in the fabric and just to find your way around the beads. And I found the magnifier to be super, super helpful. So I don't know if it actually made me go any faster, but I will say it made the experience of beading even that much more enjoyable. So I had a really good time stitching this, and I'm happy to pull it back out again. So hopefully this coming weekend I'll be able to dedicate another day to it, and maybe we'll get another 150 or 200 beads, putting us at about the halfway mark, but still got to keep going on this if I'm going to meet that whip go goal. But yeah, this has been a lot of fun. I hope you enjoy seeing the beads. All right, and that's all my stitching for the week. So I knew it was going to be a little bit of a shorter week, not quite as much as I normally get done, but still a decent amount of stitching that I'm happy with. As far as plans go, whip go, I'm still obviously working on black roses. You know the beads have got to go on that. And then my other whip go goal was Egyptian Sampler by Teresa Wensler. That one has a goal of 1,100 stitches. So I do need to pull that out at some point as well. I don't know if it'll be this week yet or not, but we'll see. We'll just see how the plans take me. For temperature stitching, I will put a picture in here of what the new chart looks like. What's in orange is what I have to stitch this week. So French Rose got 5 days. So that will get 500 stitches. That will be a nice chunk of progress to see. Autumn is Joyful got 1 day, and that will actually close out the goal for Autumn is Joyful. That means I will have put 2,000 stitches into that piece during temperature stitching, and it will be time to choose a new one. The category that Autumn is Joyful is in is my choice. So I will get to pick a new whip and put it in there. So you'll have to stay tuned to next week to see what that is. And then Halloween Quaker also got called for 1 day, and that will inch towards its goal on the Witch Whip category. As far as other plans for the week go, I definitely want to keep working on Eclipse by Carolyn Manning. I'd like to get that completed here by the end of July, so I'm ready to go when everybody's ready to sort of send their round robins to the next person so that it's not waiting on me. And I do still have Christmas and July stitching hopes and dreams. I don't know if I'm going to get to them this month, but I would definitely like to start one of the reindeer and maybe kind of chip away at my Santa's house that I had going. So we'll see if I get to those or not. But yeah, I know summer is always a little busier, and so I know I'm not going to get as much stitching in as I typically do, but we'll just see. And like I said, with running ramping up, it's taking more time, and I'm a little bit more tired afterwards, so that kind of hinders the stitching as well. Yeah, and I think that's all I've got for you today. So, the other thing I wanted to mention, if you haven't seen, I'll put a picture in here of what the final product looked like, but I finished a Mill Hill kit in between sort of our last two videos, and that was Seagull by Mill Hill, and I did sort of a Flosstube Extra video to show how I sort of stitch a Mill Hill, finish a Mill Hill, and frame the Mill Hill. So if you're interested in that, definitely go check that out. That was a lot of fun to make, and I know a lot of you had really nice things to say about the video, so I appreciate that. But yeah, go check that out if you want to see my Mill Hill finish as well. And I think that's all I've got for you today. So keep running if you're a runner, always keep stitching, and be kind to whoever you meet on your journey. Bye for now. until the next stitch.